Hello and welcome to Divine Wisdom Explained, where we dive deep into the Bible's timeless stories and uncover the lessons that can transform your life. If you're looking for inspiration, courage, and faith-filled guidance, you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's incredible story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when we release new content. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's step into the famous story of David and Goliath, a tale of courage, faith, and the incredible power of trusting God even when the odds seem impossible. The story of David and Goliath. The story of David and Goliath is one of the most iconic accounts in the Bible. It is a powerful reminder that no matter how small or weak we may feel, God can use us to accomplish great things. This story takes place during a time when the Israelites were at war with the Philistines, a powerful enemy that threatened their way of life. The giant Goliath, a fearsome warrior. The Philistines had gathered for battle on the slopes of Mount Judah, and the Israelites set up camp on the opposite side, facing their enemies. The battle lines were drawn, but there was a major obstacle. The Philistines had a champion, a giant named Goliath. Goliath was no ordinary warrior. Standing nearly 10 feet tall, he wore a helmet of bronze and a coat of armor that weighed over 125 pounds. He carried a spear with a tip that weighed about 15 pounds, and his shield-bearer walked ahead of him. For 40 days, Goliath stood before the Israelites, challenging them to send out a warrior to fight him one-on-one. His voice boomed across the battlefield, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." 1 Samuel 17 verses 8 to 9. Each day, Goliath's taunts grew more arrogant and threatening, but no one from the Israelite army dared to step forward. King Saul, the Israelite king, and his soldiers were terrified. They were all too intimidated by the size and strength of Goliath, and no one had the courage to accept the challenge. David, a young shepherd with faith. David was a young shepherd boy, the youngest of 8 brothers, who was not even in the army. He had been sent by his father Jesse to deliver food to his brothers, who were serving in Saul's army. When David arrived at the battlefield and saw Goliath's challenge, he was shocked by the fear that gripped the Israelite soldiers. He heard Goliath's taunts and saw how everyone, including King Saul, was afraid. David couldn't understand why no one was willing to fight Goliath. He asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" 1 Samuel 17 verse 26. His words were bold and they stirred the hearts of those around him. Word of David's courage spread and soon he was brought before King Saul. When David spoke to Saul, he told him that he was willing to fight Goliath. King Saul was initially skeptical. "You are just a boy and he has been a warrior from his youth," Saul said. But David, undeterred, explained that he had already fought and defeated lions and bears while protecting his sheep. He trusted that the same God who had delivered him from those dangers would deliver him from Goliath. Saul, seeing David's determination, reluctantly agreed to let him fight, but he offered David his own armor to wear. David tried it on, but it was too heavy and cumbersome for him. He told Saul, "I cannot go in these because I am not used to them." 1 Samuel 17 verse 39. Instead, David chose to face Goliath with only his shepherd's staff, a slingshot, and 5 smooth stones from a nearby brook. David versus Goliath. The battle begins. As David approached the battlefield, Goliath looked at him and sneered in disdain. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he roared. "Come here and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." 1 Samuel 17 verses 43 to 44. But David, full of faith and courage, responded with a declaration of God's power. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head." 1 Samuel 17 verses 45 to 46. David's words were not those of arrogance but of faith. He was not relying on his own strength or skill. He was trusting in God's power. He then took a stone from his pouch, placed it in his sling, and hurled it with all his might toward Goliath. In that moment, something miraculous happened. The stone struck Goliath squarely in the forehead. The giant fell to the ground with a deafening thud. David ran toward him, took Goliath's sword, and used it to cut off the giant's head. The Israelites' victory. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they were filled with fear and panic. The Israelites, emboldened by David's victory, chased the Philistines and routed them, securing a great victory for God's people. David's triumph over Goliath became a symbol of God's power to deliver his people, no matter how impossible the situation may seem. David's victory had far-reaching consequences. It not only marked the end of Goliath's reign of terror but also set the stage for David to rise as a leader and eventually become the king of Israel. His faith and courage inspired an entire nation and proved that with God, nothing is impossible. Morals and lessons from the story of David and Goliath. The story of David and Goliath is not just an inspiring tale of courage and victory, it is filled with timeless lessons that are still relevant to us today. Here are some of the key morals we can take away from this story. 1. Faith in God overcomes fear. David was not intimidated by Goliath's size or strength. He didn't see the giant as an undefeatable foe. He saw him as an obstacle that God could easily overcome. Fear often paralyzes us in the face of challenges, but faith in God empowers us to face even the most intimidating situations with courage. When we trust in God, we don't have to be afraid of anything, no matter how big it may seem. 2. God can use the unlikely. David was a young shepherd, not a soldier. His brothers were much older and more experienced, yet God chose David, the least likely candidate, to defeat Goliath. This teaches us that God doesn't look at our outward appearance or qualifications. He looks at our hearts. If we have faith and trust in Him, He can use us in ways we never imagined, no matter our age, background, or experience. 3. Don't rely on your own strength, trust in God's power. David didn't fight Goliath with the king's armor or weapons. Instead, he used what he knew best, his slingshot and his faith in God. When facing challenges, we often try to rely on our own abilities, but the true source of victory is found in God. His power is greater than any weapon or strategy we could ever devise. For God is bigger than our problems. Goliath was a giant, but in David's eyes, God was much bigger. The story teaches us that God is greater than any problem, challenge, or enemy we face. Whatever giants are standing in your life, know that God has the power to help you overcome them. 5. Be bold and stand up for what is right. David wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for the honor of God and the people of Israel. He couldn't stand by and let Goliath mock and defy the living God. This teaches us the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it's hard or when others might be afraid. God calls us to be bold in our faith. 6. God uses small acts to accomplish great things. David's victory wasn't the result of an elaborate plan or powerful military strategy. It came through a simple act of faith and a slingshot. This reminds us that even small acts of obedience and faith can have a huge impact when God is involved. Don't underestimate the power of the small things you do in faith. Conclusion: trusting in God's victory. The story of David and Goliath is a powerful reminder that with God on our side, we can overcome any obstacle. Faith, courage, and trust in God's power are the keys to victory. Just as David, the underdog, triumphed over the giant, we too can face our giants with confidence, knowing that God is with us. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found inspiration in the story of David and Goliath, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who need encouragement. And make sure to hit the bell icon to stay updated on all our future content. May you face your giants with the same courage and faith that David had, knowing that with God all things are possible. Until next time, stay strong and keep trusting in His power.